Hello, everybody out there. So, today we are going to be showing you a little video, which, as you can see from the title, is all about breaking a thing in the game that is currently plaguing it and that has even been acknowledged by the developers themselves. Of course, we are talking about the defensive meta that has evolved from the game after release. Quick overview, the defensive meta is that we talk about means that especially as the skill level of players increase in duels or otherwise fights, a player going on the defensive has a lot more options and a lot more tools than a player going on the offensive. And thereby, especially one versus one fights can often look like a bit of a stalemate where no one can really break the other and people are kind of just fishing weirdly with feints for any openings they might get. Especially at the highest level of play, this is not very exciting to watch. And as we all know, we want the game to be exciting to watch on streams and tournaments and so on. But of course, especially, we want it to be very fun to play. Now, with me today is the person who is basically getting all of this rolling and who I am making this video with. I have Fuerte with me. Fuerte, thank you very much for joining me for this video.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, Fuerte, just a quick thing before we jump into the actual meat of the video. Could you give me just a very quick overview of your experience with For Honor and fighting games?
Well, I've been playing For Honor since it came out, but I've been playing fighting games for 9 years at a fairly high level. I've traveled around the United States, going to tournaments and majors. I have some pretty good placings under my belt for a myriad of different fighting games.
Hmm.
And I played more than just fighting games competitively, but I do love fighting games the most, and I'd say For Honor is one of definitely up there with some of my favorites.
Right. So at this point, obviously, fighting games, a very quick thing. There are quite a few people who don't really see For Honor as a fighting game, but I think if you're watching this video and if you care about the meta, then you will understand that at its core, For Honor is indeed a fighting game, especially once, we specifically look at the one versus one fights. Now, the defensive meta that we talked about, Fuerte, what are your opinions on that? What is the biggest problem with it right now, which we have to break away from?
Well, it's the biggest issue with the defensive meta right now is that the most powerful universal tool in the game, that's also the most rewarding, is a parry.
Hmm.
And offense in this game, overall, so all of the universal offense that you can pull off, uh, is not stronger than the defensive mechanic of parrying. Now that's okay. They want defense to be strong. That's fine. What's not okay is that there's too much of a gap.
Hmm.
So right now, I'd say the four best characters in the game, and there are some players that would agree with me. I've seen a tier list from Pete Moo, who I'm pretty much everybody can unanimously say, as of right now, is the best player in the game. The best characters are, not in any order, Warlord, Warden, PK, and Conqueror.
Hmm.
And if you notice, a common theme between those four characters is that they all have the best opening gambits in the game in order to get into their offense. Three of them have unblockable openers, and one of them just has the fastest light attacks in the game.
By unblockable openers, you mean something like the shield bash, the shoulder bash, or
The headbutt.
the headbutt. And with the PK, of course, having the fastest attacks in the game, like you said, she doesn't really need those openers because her attacks are sometimes so fast that a lot of players can't even really react to them.
Yes, and a lot of characters have a little bit of a harder time
Right.
themselves.
Now, okay, so we basically established at this point what the problems are. So I would say let's go right into what you believe and what you have made me believe in as well. Could be something which allows us to break this defensive meta that has been plaguing us, and is something that we would definitely ask the developers from Ubisoft to take a look at, because it's actually already in the game. So yeah, let's take a look at it. Our first idea, which you have brought to me, is the so-called Guardbreak Cancel. Now, this is something that has already been shown in a couple of videos that it is possible to do. If you could give us just a very quick overview of what exactly the Guardbreak Cancel entails.
The guard break cancels input is a guard break from any of the three directions. Then immediately after you input the guard break, you change directions and attack. Now this is not a 1-2-3. This is a 1-2. So one guard break and then two switch attack. And that's the input for it. It'll cause you to begin your guard break animation, but before the actual guard break active frames would connect, you do your animation resets and you do an attack from whichever direction you chose,
Hmm. This could be a light attack or a heavy attack.
or a zone attack.
Or a zone attack. All right. So, okay, so the mechanics, while you're watching this video, you can actually see in both normal time and in slow motion some examples that we've prepared or that Fuerte has prepared because I was not able to pull it off this quickly. Um, so this all looks very good. But now at this time in the game right now, it is basically classified as a glitch, I would say we can agree on. Now, why exactly do you believe that this is a tool which the offensive should have as an actual mechanic and not as a glitch?
Okay, well, I think that this should be a mechanic. I wholeheartedly believe in this because of a multitude of reasons. The chief one being right now that due to defense being overtly powerful, even the developers themselves have admitted this, they're looking at ways to try to make offense more rewarding or more possible to even pull off. It's not like defense is you're not taking enough damage. It's more of their opponent is not even getting a chance to hit you. So both of you just look at each other until the very end of the round.
Hmm.
And this mechanic helps crack open that meta. It helps put you in a situation, a defensive one, to where if you are even a if you are even a little bit off defensively, you're punished for it. And
Right,
that's really what we need right now because the majority of the offense across the board is just simply not good enough to open up people. And I'm not even talking about Pete Moo or Extelion. I'm talking about Joe Schmo and Joe Blow. Those guys can block almost as good.
right. Because the moment you basically have the mechanics of parry and the mechanics of blocking down and counter guard breaking, at that point you have all the tools of the defense figured out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those tools are very powerful.
Right. So the idea of the Guardbreak Cancel opening someone up is that because the Guardbreak Cancel is, cancelled, the defender thinks it is a Guardbreak and thereby is ready to react with a Guardbreak counter and is not ready to block or parry your incoming attack. Now, my question with this is, what are the defensive options that someone has against this? Because we obviously don't want to create an offensive tool that would just overwrite the defense.
Exactly. The entire reason why I can say with full confidence that this should stay in the game is because it doesn't shoot offense over defense. It evens them out as far as their strengths. The three counters that are for this technique are counters that would normally beat a guard break attempt that you never see even in the highest levels of play because there's no need for it. You could usually just tech. But you would beat this by immediately upon reaction of seeing a guard break attempt, hitting a light attack. Light attacks never lose to guard breaks. And you could do this to regular guard breaks, but it's much easier and safer to just tech.
Right.
So you never see it. Two is to roll away. Rolling beats guard breaking, and rolling will move you out of the range of the attack of your opponent. Definitely another tertiary option and sees very little use in gameplay right now.
Hmm.
And the final one, and I believe the most stable and most common defense that you'll see against this tactic is to wait as late as possible. As a matter of fact, wait until after a guard break makes contact with you and tech it, because you actually can do that. If you can wait until the guard break makes contact with your body before you attempt to tech it at all. This technique cancels the guard break before it would actually touch you. Therefore, if you wait long enough and you see that you haven't been touched by a guard break, you just block.
Right. So you can just block. So basically, this is a new mechanic that allows you to play a mind game with the defender opening him up, making him like react in a different way than he would normally do, but it would not give you a tool that is so overpowering that, say, someone who has mastered this tool, like a higher level player, could completely outplay a lower level player who would be helpless against it.
Yes, that's correct. Even I think there are a couple caveats for that. One, this technique is the hardest thing to do in this game as of this moment.
Right.
So their success, even the highest level player's success rate, isn't going to be that high. I'd say it wouldn't even be more than 50%.
Because it is
Uh,
currently a glitch, though.
yes.
Right.
At the
Okay.
moment, it is not a sponsored mechanic.
Right.
And if you do it too fast, you get a very strange animation instead of the actual technique. And that's part of the reason why it's so difficult.
Right.
Two, there are defensive options for it, and the defensive options for it, although difficult, are not as difficult as pulling it off. And three, I believe that with a little bit of training, just like how there was for parries for the first few weeks,
Right.
and the first day everybody thought they were impossible, and now pretty much anybody can do them.
Or counter guard breaks, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So basically, a technique that helps the meta overall, breaks the defensive meta open, but doesn't completely break the balance of the game for higher level versus lower level players.
exactly. There are two levels of meta to the defending of this technique. The first level is to do late techs and block attacks. At the highest level of defensive play, if you'd ever see it, you can parry the attacks and light attack the guard break as soon as you see it coming, because a light attack would beat both the guard break and the guard break attack.
Right.
But just because that's very possible to take it to that level doesn't mean that level one does not exist. And level one is something that anybody can achieve.
Now, the second mechanic that we'd like to talk about and show not only to you but also to the developers and ask them to think about it as an actual mechanic are the soft feints. Now, soft feints are nothing new in the game overall. For example, the Kensei, for example, has soft feints just built in, or even the Peacekeeper, for example, could soft feint a heavy attack into a guard break. Now, what we're talking about though is the possibility to soft feint light attacks and heavy attacks in general. Now, could you give a very quick overview of what exactly it is? You can see it in the footage that we're talking over, but let's mechanically explain it real quick.
Okay, so a soft feint is using an attack from one direction, and then before the attack's active frames would connect with the opponent, it attacks from another direction. So, and it doesn't just continue and then jitter away. It goes through almost with the entire startup animation, then it resets completely from the beginning from another direction. You can do lights into themselves and heavies into themselves. The way to perform the technique would be to switch directions, attack, switch directions, attack. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's it.
It sounds easy, but believe me, the rhythm to actually achieve it is very tight. Now, okay, so that was it mechanically. Now, we already have feints in the game. We already have, class-specific soft feints in the game. How exactly is this going to help us break out of the defensive meta?
Okay, so right now, and we can go back to this, parrying is not too terribly difficult against the vast majority of characters. You can just deal with what they can throw at you if it's a raw attack, and more often than you should be able to, you can parry it and get full damage off of parrying somebody, not encouraging people to attack at all. This soft feint comes out just quite fast enough to where most people will end up just blocking, which gives you the chance to attack your opponent. And even if there's a moderate chance there to where your opponent just doesn't block correctly at all and gets hit. This notwithstanding the fact that if they try to attempt to parry, of course they'll just get hit.
Currently, as we're talking about this, there is currently a another glitch which is heavily discussed, which is the so-called indicator glitch. Now, for people who are not aware of this or might have not seen it, it's basically a glitch where with certain button inputs, you can make it so that an attack indicator will, for example, show up on the left, but your actual attack then comes from the right with its own indicator. This is currently a little bit, the hot topic that people want the developers to remove. These soft feints, how exactly is this different from the indicator glitch?
Okay, so the indicator glitch has a red marker for a very brief amount of time from one direction, and then it just goes into another direction where the attack comes from, and it feels like it's much faster than this technique and much, much harder to defend against. Once you've already committed to blocking one direction, the initial direction that the indicator glitch shows you, and you try to switch, you usually can't keep up, especially for some of the faster attacks in the game. The soft feint feels much more fair because you're actually going through almost the whole animation from one side, and then before it would touch you, it switches, resets to the beginning of the animation to the other side, then goes through with the attack. Also, it takes the stamina of both attacks, so you have to spend your stamina twice. The same goes for the Guardbreak Cancel. You have to spend your stamina for the throw and for the attack.
So basically, it's the concept of the indicator glitch, but taken to a fair level of balance where you do get a plus from using it for your offense, but where the defense isn't completely on the back foot, but still has a chance to react to it properly.
Exactly. The fact that you have much more of an animation when you do the soft feint is very, very needed in order to make an argument to keep this in the game.
So we're at the end of the video. It was a bit of a long thing, and it was mostly us talking with basically the same footage in the background. But a very big thank you to you viewers out there who've checked out this video and listening to our thoughts, and especially Fuerte's thoughts and opinions about this, who is trying to make this a popular topic. Now, at this point, the both of us would really like to ask you out there, the community, to talk about this, to give us your opinions on the Guardbreak cancel, on the soft drains that we showed and talked about, and to hopefully agree with us that these two mechanics, or even just one of the mechanics, but hopefully both of them, is something that should be looked at by Ubisoft, by the developers, and maybe in this form or another one, be integrated into the combat of For Honor properly, because we believe that with these two additions, the breaking of the defensive meta as it currently plagues the game is definitely possible. And we also believe that we will already be seeing these current glitches be used as so-called fighting game techs in higher level tournaments soon in the future. Now, Fuerte, thank you very much for joining me to this video and for bringing this topic to me. I hope that we get a lot of discussion about this going and maybe even get some developers involved.
Yes, I agree. This is definitely something that I think changes the game as is, and only for the better.
Yeah. So again, thank you very much. Please discuss this, share this with people who care about the meta of For Honor, and we'll see you guys in the threads on Reddit or in the forums or maybe even in the comments of this video. So again, thank you very much. My name is Klyka, and with me was Fuerte. Bye bye.